Hey guys, what's up? My name is Sean. I live in Busan, South Korea, and I'm the type of person that whenever I get information, I want to share it. And so I've been thinking about this video for weeks. Really, for weeks, I've been thinking I really want to make a Busan versus Seoul video because I lived in Seoul for 4 years, and I've been living in Busan for about 6 months now, and I've also lived in Daegu for 2 years, which is a city in Korea. Um, Let me talk to you. Let me share some facts. If you're thinking about coming to South Korea and you're thinking about, what city should I come to? And I just want to say right from the beginning, all right, I am not going to say like this city is better than that city. They're both dope cities. They're both really cool, but it really depends on what are you looking for and what stage are you in your life. I think that plays a huge role. So, but let me get to it. I don't want to waste your time. Um, Let me start off first of all. Seoul is an amazing, gigantic city. Okay, it is huge. It is really huge. I lived in Toronto for a long time. Toronto's a giant city, but Seoul really has a bunch of different areas that have a completely different vibe. If you stay in that one part of the city, you will have a completely different year than someone else, right? And so every year, I would usually quit my teaching job and I would go to a different part of the city and start with a new school, right? And I definitely got a really good feel for it. Okay, so I want to say straight off, I did my last year. I just did a year in Gangnam. I worked in Daechi. Now, Daechi is known as like one of the most affluent areas, right? You get students that are very serious. They come in from like hours away sometimes just to get on that street because it's got some of the best teachers, very expensive schools. One of the schools that I worked at, they had tons of branches, and they admittedly said that that branch that was in Daechi near Gangnam would lose money on how much it costs for rent, but they just wanted that as a flagship school. And all their other branches in different parts of the city, they could say, our main branch is in Daechi area, and that meant a lot to other parents. Okay, so I always wanted to get there, and I finally got there. And I lived in Gangnam. I told the school that, look, you have to put me right downtown Gangnam. And to their credit, they got me an apartment right by the subway station. It was like by exit 12, downtown Gangnam. Okay, so I lived in Gangnam for a year. A lot of people say, yeah, I live in Gangnam. And then when you talk to them, they don't live in Gangnam. They live like a half an hour away. And it does matter because Gangnam is a vibe. Okay, it is a vibe. A lot of people, from all over the country, and even like that city, the satellite cities around there will come in on the weekends, right? And walk around that area hoping to meet someone from Gangnam. Okay, so I got there, all right, and I hated it. I really didn't like it, okay? It is dope at night after work to walk around. It's giant. There's tons of buildings. Um, Keep in mind right now there's also COVID-19 restrictions. So a lot of things closed early. And so if you're going to live in Seoul, if you want to get to the heart of the Seoul, you say that's where I want to be, you're a vlogger, you want to create content, you want to be in the heart of it. If you're teaching, which is the majority of people, or if you're even just working for a company, if you can speak Korean fluently, a lot of people are doing that now, graduating from university, you will be working hard. That you will be working really hard in Seoul. I don't know anybody that lived in Seoul and like really, really central Seoul, were teaching in Seoul and did not have like kind of a stressful work life. It's just in the air. It's very competitive. There are tons of people that want to be in that area. It's very coveted. So if you say, "Oh, I'm not going to do this" or "I'm not going to do that," you're going to be replaced really, really quickly. You're going to feel it in the air. I mean, even if you're someone that says like, "Oh, I'm really relaxed. I'm not going to do a lot of drama," even if you're like very much of a yes person, like just saying yes to management, there's a stress in the air, right? So you need to be mindful of that. If you're the type of person that is like high energy, which I obviously am, and I could do it, and you know, and I would be at times confrontational, but I would like put my heart and soul into when I'm working, content creation for the school. But Gangnam is a beast. And if you're going to be there, you better be that type of personality and ask yourself, what are you trying to get out of it, right? And so I'm also very entrepreneurial, but there's not a lot of time to do things other than work for your company. So if you're a company person, um, if you love your job and you're not trying to do anything else on the side, then I would say yes, try to get into Gangnam, try to get into Seoul. Then definitely it's a good idea. If you're younger, like obviously I spent a lot of time in Seoul. Was in my mid late 20s. and it was fantastic because I love to go out all night long. So here's what I want to say. You're going to be working like crazy hours, okay? The work culture is tough, okay? You have to always be looking busy. It seems like, why, I finished all my work. Can I relax for a second? No, you have to always be working, right? For the most part, be looking like you're working. That is just Korean culture. That is Seoul culture for sure. So you should definitely be the type of person that is prepared for that, and you can handle that pressure, because a lot of people I know sometimes can't handle that. Now, also, the thing is, when you work in Seoul, you don't mind doing those long work hours because, unlike my hometown, Toronto, home city, the bars close around 2 in the morning, right? So then, but the work life, there's a lot of breaks in Toronto. I mean, I definitely had to hustle to pay rent in Toronto. That was stressful. But the nightlife isn't too wild. Everything is a little bit more calmer, I'd say, in Canada. At least that's been my experience. Now in Seoul, though, the thing is you're working really hard, but then the nightlife would go till 5 in the morning. Okay, so before COVID, right, clubs are open till 5 in the morning. Bars are open all night long, okay? So you can work really hard. You can have a boss that's giving you stress, but usually they also pay you well if you're in that area, if you've been able to work yourself up into that position in that area. And then to counter all the stress, you can go out. You can meet tons of people, right? The drinks aren't very expensive. And that counters it. That's a great balance, okay? That's like the Seoul life, right? It's really high octane, okay? And I've loved it in years past. However, now with the restrictions and the curfews and stuff, it is just, it was too much. And so once I finished my contract, I got out of there, because now you still have that stress, you have that hard work, but you have nothing to release it, right? There's nowhere to go out. Everything's closed early. So I would say, I would keep that in mind if you're thinking about going to Seoul, okay? Now, that was Gangnam. I also lived in an area called Songpa, which is like on the, I guess it would be like on the west of Seoul, which is more like, it's beautiful. It's got a huge mall. The apartments are really nice. It's a little bit like calmer. It's not in the heart of Seoul. There's not like tons of bars and stuff. But I had a great year there. I had a beautiful year there. I was always upset, like I want to be in the Gangnam branch, but actually I had a great year there. Itaewon is like known as like a really cool bar area. It's like a lot of Western people there. There's American military there, so it kind of, people started to get apartments near that area. There's definitely really cool hipster vibes there. Again, though, with the COVID lockdown, not as great. But let me just say, I did live there a couple years ago, and I didn't like living there. It's cool to go there, but living there was just like a little too intense. It's just kind of a party zone. I didn't enjoy that, even though, Gangnam and Itaewon, I was always thinking, once I get to these areas, my life is going to be awesome. And I got into both of them and did not like them. Okay. I want to highlight one area named Boondong. So I've worked in Boondong and Gyeonggi-do, which are like both two areas that are outside of Seoul, about 45 minutes for Boondong, I guess. Gyeongdong was also similar. It was like far out. I worked in both those areas for a year. By far, one of my best years was in Boondong, right? Which is like, it is like a very rich suburb, okay? And so you get like a lot of tons of beautiful, nice restaurants. The school I worked for was amazing. They worked me really hard, but I just had an amazing year there. However, in the back of my head, I was always like, oh, I should be in Seoul. Why am I not in Seoul? I should be in the city. But I want to put this information out, because I didn't realize that I had to learn the hard way. But I just want to say, like, if you're looking for a job and you have a recruiter and they find you a spot in Boondong and you're like, it's not in Seoul, I'm not going to take it. Really rethink it, because Boondong was a beautiful area. I had like the best year of my life. And I've talked to other buddies that also, did the rounds, trying everything out in Korea. And they all said, my best year was Boondong. And we all had a beautiful, beautiful time there, because it's just a beautiful area. It's new. Everything was organized. Just the way it was constructed, a lot of like straight streets. It's just got a Western vibe to it. I hope maybe I'm not communicating it properly, like why it was so different than the others, but just the people that even choose to live there are often, they're very city-like, they're very metropolitan. They go into the city every day to work, but they don't want to live in the city. They want to come outside, just like any American city. And so it's got that energy to it. So I would, if you're trying to come to Korea, Don't be so like, be like, I have to get into the city. I have to get into the city. I would just really recommend if you get another offer in a different area, maybe try to ask like, can I talk to someone that works at the school right now, another teacher in that area, just to get an idea of that area. Okay. Now, sorry, I'm supposed to do Seoul versus Busan. So Seoul, those are all the different vibes that you can get. And after being in Seoul for like, it's going on 10 minutes, guys, this video. I hope you're still with me. I'm going to make lots more. So after being in Seoul like for about 4 years in my 20s, I'd come down to Busan once in a while to visit friends, and I always felt called to that city. I always felt, not to be like spiritual, but like I always felt like that city would fit me really, really well, I think. And but I hesitated because every time I almost like moved down, like by the end of a contract, I thought, oh, maybe I'll go down to a different city. I would get like maybe like the boss would offer me a promotion, or I'd be in a relationship at the time. Like I'd have a relationship with my partner, and I wouldn't want to end the relationship. And like, so I would sign a new contract, and then the relationship would go a couple weeks or like a month, and then it would end. And I'd be like, why didn't I, because usually most contracts are a year here for foreigners. So I said, why didn't I go down there? It was very odd. So finally I said, that's it. Especially with COVID-19, I was like, I'm going to go to Busan because it has beaches. It's got open areas. And so for this summer, and when I'm not working, I want to be able to go out. I want to be able to relax and have like, an area where I can meet people. And so I've come down to Busan. I've been here for 6 months, and I definitely love it. Okay, so straight up, I'm in my 30s now, my mid 30s. So Busan is much better for me. Okay, the vibe is a lot more chill. Now, full disclosure, I do like to work really hard. I have lots of energy, and so I brought that energy from Seoul and brought it down to the school I'm teaching at now, and promised them I'm still going to give you lots of energy, even though Busan, the cost of living is much cheaper, but the pay is much cheaper, is much less here as well. So I have a lot of friends that they would love to live in Busan, but they can't give up the good job that they have there to come down to Busan. So yeah, so for me, like I've connected with a lot more people. I've met a lot more people. Just kind of had a sense of peace. And I also, I have a lot more free time to work on stuff that I want to work on, which was never the case in Seoul. But in Seoul at that time, I wanted to go out and meet people. I wanted to have tons of fun. Now I like to lay low. I'm more picky with the people that I meet. So I would keep that in mind if you're thinking about coming to Korea. It is hard to get a job in Busan, but if you're the type of person that is very, very chill, you like nature, you just like to spend lots of time in nature, you're not really a nightlife person, then definitely I would say come to Busan. I'm also going to make a video about Daegu. So Daegu is another city that is, I would definitely recommend it. It's an awesome city. And I'm going to tell you why, but a lot of people shun it and just try to get to Seoul. So I want to talk to you guys about that. I hope that was helpful. If you have a comment about like a video you want me to make some more information, I'd love to. Let me know. Thank you guys if you've followed with me this far. Have an awesome night, weekend, day. See you later.